What's up, geeks and gamers? It's Odin coming back with another video, and today we've got the box office breakdown for this past weekend, which of course is still technically going on as we have the extended MLK holiday, which could lead to some of these films being a lot higher after everything is said and done, as many people will be off from work and school to give more money to films like the new Scream, and most especially to films like Spider-Man No Way Home, which has topped $1.6 billion worldwide, well on its way to the minimum $1.75 billion that many industry experts have said, and definitely at the point where one could still argue it to get to the 1.8, 1.9 billion. I think 2 billion might just be a little bit out of its range at this point based on the numbers, based on how little it's making as far as currently from the international marketplace. Seems like most people who have wanted to see this film have seen it. Many people are still going to see it for the first time, and also repeat viewings, which is what's leading to the film continuing to do very well and have very strong holds week to week. But as more films start to come out, obviously with Scream 5 coming out this weekend and other films set to come out in the month of February, it is looking like there's finally some competition, if you can really even call it that, based on just the comparisons of the numbers, but still enough to bring it to the number 2 slot against Spider-Man, or rather against Scream 5 in the domestic marketplace. Before we get any further, though, into these numbers, please make sure you smash that like button, light up that fire button if you're watching over on Odyssey, and also make sure that you are subscribed. So that way you get notifications every time a new video or live stream goes live on the channel, especially if you have that bell notification turned on. So, Scream 5 is the newest film here, and as this very, they think they're clever, headline from Deadline says, Scream shouts with $49 million global debut in the international box office, and it is expected to be making around $36 million when everything is said and done in the domestic marketplace. We'll see exactly what the international marketplace is updated with as the days go on. It says in the 5th weekend, Spider-Man No Way Home has swung past $900 million at the international box office to get to $926.3 million. So very much going to be on its way to getting to the $1 billion mark internationally by the end of its run, whereas in the domestic run, it's very close to the $700 million mark. So as you can see, 1.75 billion very much in the running as a very likely minimum scenario going on there. As it says there, its running cumulative is 33.4 million in 63 markets. As I said, slowing down a bit in the international marketplace. The worldwide total, though, has gone to $1.625 billion. It says, notably, Spidey scaled to new heights in Latin America, becoming the highest grossing film of all time in Mexico with $72 million total. Number 2 ever in Brazil, $50.4 million. Now, again, these are all numbers that do not adjust for or account for inflation, which to me, I think does make a pretty big difference, but the film still destroying all pandemic narratives, which just makes me very happy. It says here, Scream got off to a strong start at the international box office with 18 million from 50 markets. Don't know exactly whether or not that is necessarily impressive. Again, maybe in comparison to some of the other films as it's going to go into. It says on a like-for-like basis, the requel. They just called it a requel? Did they mean to say sequel? Requel. I don't know. Is that supposed to be saying a little bit about what this film is? I've heard some rumors as far as the storytelling subverting expectations and having some of those types of elements in the movie. Maybe they are in this seemingly typo, going after that. Who knows? Anyway, in its requel, the results are 23% above Scream 4 and 57% above recent horror release Halloween Kills. So really, in the only, I would say, fair comparison, Scream 4 being in the same franchise. Scream 4, of course, also being very low in comparison to the other films, because even though there are still a lot of fans, apparently, of the Scream franchise, a lot of fans have just been going after me for my takes on Scream's box office and just the thought of the overall Scream franchise, why it's still happening, why this movie and why this franchise is still going on, as the numbers really don't show a massive influx of any fans, really, or a massive fan base, really, at all. Apparently, they're still out there, though. But it being about 23% above Scream 4, again, that's good. And it's definitely, I think, a comment to be made about, once again, the nonsense being put forward still about the pandemic narrative and people not going to theaters, being 23% above the last in the franchise, which was already pretty low. That was about 10 plus years ago. I think it is still important, though, to keep in mind that those like-for-like numbers are probably not adjusting or accounting for inflation, which could be an indicator. But I have not run those numbers yet myself. So it's combined with domestic 3-day launch. The global running total is $48.6 million. So that's why I have that in my charts, as the numbers has not updated yet with the international box office. Going into the actual individual numbers, as you can see, Spider-Man, for the first time in now its 5th week of release, is not at number 1, but really not for lack of trying. It still made $20.8 million domestically, a 36% drop, a very strong hold for this film, as you can see, very close to $700 million, right now at $698.7, whereas Scream, the new film from Paramount, made $30.6 million and is still expected to make another $6 million or so as the going into the Monday to end around $36 million or so. So we'll see exactly how close to that estimate it ends up getting. Sing 2 continues to have pretty strong holds as well, with $8.2 million up to $119.3 domestically. So after 4 weeks, Sing 2 has actually finally broken even. It's now in the profitability territory. What we can now say firmly is not and will not ever be in the profitability territory is the 355. Yes, indeed. Universal's the 355 with $2.3 million, a 49% drop, though not the worst drop in the world that we have seen. With only $8.4 million domestically after 2 weeks, is expected to be yet another massive financial failure. And once again, reiterating the comment, go woke, go broke. And when you start off with the concept of a film from, of course, what we've heard from the origin story of this film being that Jessica Chastain went to the director of Dark Phoenix, which was already kind of a sign of things to come, as it were, if you've ever seen Dark Phoenix, saying, hey, I've got an idea. Oh, okay, what's your idea? Maybe you've got some interesting story elements, maybe you got some cool characters. No, my idea is, what if we made a female spy movie? So when that's the origin of your film, then it makes sense that you're going to be more focused on identity politics. And when you're more focused on identity politics, as we all know, the story suffers tremendously. And the 355, great example of that. No one went to go see it. No one is going to see it. No one cares about it. And it is going to be another financial flop. The Kingsman, also very much in that financial flop territory as well, making only $28.6 million domestically. Still made another $2.3 million. Some people have cared about American Underdog. Again, there's no budget anywhere being posted for this film, so it's hard to say whether this film is a success financially or not. West Side Story is definitely a failure, so even though it's probably getting some awards recognition now at this point in time, it ain't enough. So as we can see, Scream, according to the numbers, domestically 30.6. Again, this does not account for the numbers that we have for the international market. That's why this number will be different than what I have in my chart. The 355, only at $9 million after 2 weeks. $9 million. Yeah. That's a lot of fun. In fact, I kind of wonder if they, in this article, cover if there is any thing worth mentioning here. What's interesting to me is the fact that they mention Scream. They then go into The Matrix Resurrections, which, by the way, apparently traveled to China. Oh, Warner Brothers, you working with those commies. Got the number 1 spot there, making $47.9 million. Wait, hold on 1 second. Roughly on par with Blade Runner. The first time, it's the number 1 spot there. The first time for a Hollywood film since No Time to Die in October, with RMB 47.9, which, okay, so that's just the currency. So it made $7.5 million. Good for you. You only get 25% of that, Warner Brothers. I hope that the massive financial failure that has been Matrix Resurrections has been worth it for you. Working with the commies. Again, that means millions of dollars has now gone to the Communist Party in China. Thank you for that. In 78 markets overall, Matrix grossed $11.11 million. Again, just not making money really anywhere else. But as you can see, there is not even a mention of the 355. And it's its second week. This is the week where we usually can tell whether a film has made it or broke, and it is not even talking about it. Maybe they'll talk about it here in this is typically just what's following up on domestic releases. Usually they don't talk a whole lot about international stuff here. Yeah, this is all focused on Scream, coming in at number 1 this weekend, all talking about that. There is Spider-Man No Way Home. You then see Belle being mentioned here as well. Again, it looks like it'll be close to 704 million, so it'll pass 704 million, meaning that it will cross the Black Panther number, though of course when you adjust for inflation it's still going to be relatively close, but by the end of the run it's definitely going to have crossed that specifically. Drive My Car has been mentioned. Look at what's not on the list. The 355. So I can't even double check to see if there are any international numbers other than the ones being posted. So 9 million. Oh my goodness. That is awful. Spider-Man No Way Home, as we can see, again, going to cross $1 billion by next weekend, easily cross $7 million by next weekend domestically as well. So once again, we'll see this film at 1.7 billion by next weekend. And that is pretty exciting to see. I would argue we would probably get to that point by next weekend. We'll have to wait and see. And as I mentioned with Sing 2, $214.6 million. Stronghold, it is now in the profitability territory. I know there's a lot of Ghostbusters fans out there, and I mentioned this last week. This film has broken even and is now making some profits. Going ahead and look at some charting. $49 million for Scream 5 means that this movie is very close to breaking even and likely will break even by the end of this week. So that's what happens when you make a film for $24 million. So good on you for making a little bit of cash, but again, can't really speak much for the film itself. The 355 with $9.3 million means it is currently at a $106 million loss, and with such a low increase, again, it was a $4 million debut. It's only added $5 million on since last week. That's including all of the weekdays into the weekend. That's just completely abysmal there. That means that the film is going to lose anywhere between 101 and $104 million. So a massive financial loss of this film. And again, I really hope it was worth it. I really hope, Universal, it was worth taking a bet on a film that was expected to and guaranteed to fail based from the premise alone. Oh, Jessica Chastain, you're a great actress. Probably shouldn't be coming up with any ideas for films anytime in the future. As you can see, though, American Underdog, still no numbers for that film. The Kingsman, even though it's at $92 million, is still in a situation where it's around $100 million in losses. Matrix Resurrections, still $200 million in the red for this film. It might actually get to the point, though, since that China release is there, where it doesn't end at the $200 million mark, but is a little below then, still over $175 easy million in losses, whereas Spider-Man No Way Home, $675 million. West Side Story still over $100 million in losses, and as you can see, $3.9 million in net gain profit for Ghostbusters Afterlife. And it's funny because there's a bunch of trolls out there trying to gum up and say, well, Ghostbusters 2016 did better. More money went to Ghostbusters 2016, and yet that film lost money, whereas this film actually made money. And I guarantee you that when we get the actual numbers for post-film release, home video, talking about Blu-ray, DVD, 4K sales, that Ghostbusters Afterlife is going to whip the floor with it, because even though a lot of people may have gone to see 2016 Ghostbusters thinking that they were going to see an actual Ghostbusters film back in the day, they clearly did not, and it's clearly not aged well. The fact that the so-called Ultimate Edition, Collector's Edition of Ghostbusters left it out completely until it was revealed that there was actually a digital code of the 2016 Ghostbusters. That's what they think about that. They're willing to throw in a little digital code, but not actually put in the effort and money that it would take to actually put a 4K release of the film out there. Really not that surprising, because it was total and utter garbage. But anyway, what else thoughts about this? Have you seen Scream 5? Are you excited that it's on the path to break even? I just don't know why it's been this long, or how it's gotten this far along in this way, to the point of it being able to still make money. But hey, as long as it makes money for them, that's, I guess, what's important. I've heard a lot of people say Paramount paid a pretty good amount of money for the rights to Scream. Again, don't know why you would go out of your way to spend a lot of money on that franchise, but I guess if it makes money, it makes money. So what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts also about Matrix being a complete dumpster fire, and Spider-Man No Way Home? What do you think the end result is going to be? Let us know in the comment section down below. If you like this video, smash that like button, light up that fire button over on Odyssey. You're all amazing and beautiful people. If you want more box office breakdown and information, check me out over at OMB Reviews on YouTube or Odyssey. You're great. Have a wonderful day, everybody. And as always, God bless.